Yes. Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Go Long Live with Barry Long 2 and my main man, Sage Alvarez. We are live on CoachellaValley.com, live on today'sCalifornia.com, live on today'sCanada.com. Thank you for tuning in with us, and thank you for sharing the post. We appreciate all the love that we've been getting. We've got a $25 e-gift card to Desert Beer Company out here in Palm Desert that we will be qualifying people for, and you will have a chance to win. We'll see about winning that coming up next week. So we'll qualify you starting you tomorrow. And starting today, we're going 5 days a week. I'm proud to announce that we'll be going 5 days a week at 12:30 Pacific time. So that's noon 30 is what we like to call it here on Go Long Live with Barry Long 2 and Sage Alvarez. So we'll be going Monday through Friday at noon 30. If you're on the East Coast, you'll be at 3:30 p.m. So make sure you check us out there. We got comments that you can pop up. This is from Jackie. Shout out to Jackie. It says, hi, new here. Shout out to you. We are glad that you are joining us today, Jackie. And also joining us now is my main man, Sage Alvarez. Sage, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
What's going on, Barry the second, not the first, and not the third. Barry
not
the second.
First, not the third. Yes, absolutely, man. And we're going to talk some sports here today. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit of that Ravens-Chiefs Sunday night game. We're going to talk that Packers-Lions Monday night game. We're also going to talk about some of the 2-0 teams in the NFL right now. Are they contenders or are they pretenders? Because there's a lot of them out there.
A lot of fake teams out there.
Absolutely. Then we'll also talk about the 0-2 teams. Do you believe that they can bounce back? Ben Simmons has now came out to the media and saying that he will not participate in training camp this year, despite that big contract that he has with the Philadelphia 76ers and 4 years left on that deal. So we'll talk about that. And we'll also get into this game that we have tonight, the Panthers versus the Texans. We'll preview that game. So without any further ado, let's just start talking about the NFL game that we saw on Sunday night between the Ravens and the Chiefs. It was a pretty good game. Came down to it kind of went back and forth, came down to the end where the Ravens had a 36-35 lead over the Chiefs. The Chiefs had the ball at the end of the game running that 2-minute drill. Pat Mahomes does like he does so many other times. We've seen him before. Makes a couple of good passes, puts them in field goal range. And then the second-year running back out of LSU, Edwards-Helaire, ends up fumbling the ball off of a good play by Ravens rookie, Owe. And we saw the Ravens get the ball back and ultimately win that game because of a mistake made by the running back. Now, Lamar Jackson had an okay game. He had 2 interceptions to 1 touchdown, 18 of 26. He threw for 239 yards, which is something that we haven't seen Lamar Jackson do consistently. Back-to-back games, over 200-yard passing. He did that twice this season already. Tyson Williams, he contributed with 13 carries for 77 yards. But what it came down to was just that 1 or 2 plays at the end of a game that we see in the NFL. And the Ravens are back. It looks like no matter what happens, we've seen all the injuries that the Ravens have dealt with. It seems like this is a next man up league, and it looks like to me that the Ravens, as long as they have Lamar Jackson as the signal caller and they have the O-line, at least ready enough to play, I think that this team has a chance to win any given Sunday. How do you feel about that?
I'd feel a lot better if we could see Lamar not having to do front flips into the end zone where he misses his landing. If you watch the replay, he missed his hand, so he ends up hurting his hip. I mean, was he at practice today? Because I'm pretty sure he had to take today off.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had a little injury, but it's not going to be something that's going to affect him. Hopefully, moving forward. If the team was 0-2, I'd be a lot more pessimistic about my Ravens' chances of making the playoffs because no team last season that started off 0-2 made the playoffs. So, but I still feel a little bit more optimistic, rather than most teams that are 0-2 because we did play the past 2 weeks, the top 2 passing offenses in the NFL right now, the Raiders and the Chiefs. And with the secondary being, a little banged up with Marcus Peters being out, I feel like, I feel a little bit hopeful that the Ravens have a chance to at least make the playoffs this season. Now, let's talk about that Monday Night Football game that we saw between the Packers and the Lions. The first half was sort of, the game was sort of a tale of 2 halves. You had the first half, the Lions went into halftime leading 17-14. And Jared Goff, he looked golfily good. He looked golfily good in that first quarter. in that first and second quarter. And they were clicking on all cylinders. This new guy, Cephas, that they have at wide receiver, I really like him. Swift, he looked pretty good at certain times of the game, but Jared Goff looked great in the beginning of this game. And I don't know if it's more to say about how good the passing game is over in Detroit or how bad the secondary is for this Green Bay Packers defense. But the Green Bay Packers defense looked, they didn't look that great in the first half. They came back in the second half and pitched a shutout. The Lions led 17-14 going into halftime, and they ended up not scoring another point for the rest of the game, losing 35-17. Aaron Rodgers looked just like Aaron Rodgers in that second half. Came back, that guy is always going to be great. He's always going to give you the best chance to win at the end of the day. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. And, just a great performance by him as well as by Davante Adams. We've seen Davante Adams and him have such a great chemistry between them two in the last few seasons. He had 8 catches for 121 yards. And if they can continue to put these kind of numbers up, I look for this team to be somewhere at the end of the season where the games are finally deciding who the champion is.
You see the Lions, it's a tale of two halves with them. You saw Jared Goff play an amazing first half. In the second half, it was a weather Goff. Doesn't play good in weather.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was watching the game with TK from KCLB, and I looked at him and I told him, I said, as soon as it starts raining, this is when Jared Goff turns back into Jared Goff. And he asked, is it because he's a California guy? Yeah, he's a Northern California guy. They get a little bit more rain than we do here in Coachella. It only rains like 5 to 10 days a year out down here.
Much.
But yeah, they get a little bit more rain. But Jared Goff, he always turns into Jared Goff when the weather is bad. We saw him fumble the ball twice. He had 3 turnovers in the game. And for a lot of that game, you look at Dan Campbell, the new head coach for Detroit Lions, standing on the sideline, and he had that same look that Sean McVay had on his face for the seasons that Jared Goff played with the LA Rams. It was just like, God, like what can we do to get this guy to be better? But yeah, Jared Goff, shout out to him. There's going to be some growing pains in Detroit. I'm just happy that he landed in a spot where he can actually start. But Aaron Rodgers, man, you can't say enough about what Aaron Rodgers was able to do in that second half. And I think, do you think the Packers have a chance to make it to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers playing at a high level in that second half? Despite the first game and despite the first half of this game, what do you think?
They've done it before. This isn't the first time. It's we all seen the RELAX Aaron Rodgers. So
absolutely,
he'll remind us.
He will remind us. He always will remind us. And we are live on todayscalifornia.com, CoachellaValley.com, as well as todayscanada.com. You can comment. Jackie says she has a famous sports player in her family. Ever heard of Frank Viola? Yes, we have. I played for the Mets. Left-handed pitcher, ring a bell. He's my cousin. Possible I may be able to get him on your show. Oh, well, shout out to you. We'll have our production team reach out to you and see if we can get him on the show. But shout out to Frank Viola. And yeah, come on the show. We want to talk to you.
Come on.
And we invite anybody to be on the show. If you feel like you have some great comments about a game or about a specific team, then we invite you to come on the show. Just reach out to us via DM. You can find him at Saged Up on Twitter, and I'm at Barry Long II on Facebook. The best way to reach me. But yeah, now let's talk about some of these teams that are 2-0, and are they contenders or are they pretenders, Sage? And this is a pretty good list of teams right here, and I'm excited to see what these teams can do. Now, the first team we're going to talk about is your Raiders, and there's Derek Carr, looking very excited. Looking very good this season. Started off, throwing the ball decent to Henry Ruggs. They don't really have the running game working as well as he'd like to have it, but the passing game is looking awfully good. Now, do you think that your Raiders are pretenders or contenders?
They're definitely contenders. And
okay.
I'm not just being biased because I am a Raider fan, but if you look from the facts, you got Derek Carr, who is leading arguably a top 10 offense this year, because at this rate, when Henry Ruggs is a one-play just machine, he can change the play in one game, in one play. And that's when you have Darren Waller, he's at every play. He wrecks your game plan. You have to have all attention. And that's why you have Henry Ruggs making plays like that, because you're having so much attention on Waller. You look at that play. Hunter Renfrow was open on that play. He could have taken the safer option, had another guy open, but he took the shot for Henry Ruggs. And that's why you see plays like that, they're going to continue to happen.
Absolutely, and yeah, you're right. You always got to bring the safety down to help with Darren Waller. A lot of times you see teams double teaming Darren Waller, and that leaves that play over the top, that home run play to Ruggs wide open. And
Chestnut
Derek Carr,
checkers.
yeah, for sure. And Derek Carr's been hitting those passes, and he's been dropping it right in that breadbasket. And it is an amazing team to watch the first two games of the season. And you can't help but think that maybe John Gruden has been sandbagging us this entire time. Like maybe he's been, losing games on purpose. I'm not going to say losing games on purpose, but maybe he's been holding something back from that playbook because he's just waiting to unleash all his weapons at one time. But I definitely think
the biggest difference between last year and this year is look at the defensive line. They're winning. Yeah. They're winning. And think about this: the Raiders are not blitzing. They are just winning on the line. They are just doing an amazing job. And that's the biggest difference was they didn't have that last year. Mullen didn't have that last year, but now that he does, he can make plays and make interceptions like that. And this defense is showing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they're contenders as well. And I'm excited to see what they can do for the rest of the season. Alex Perez says hi. And he waves at us. What's going on, Alex? We appreciate you for tuning in, whether he's on todayscanada.com, Today's California, or CoachellaValley.com. Now, let's talk about the next team that we think are pretenders or contenders, and that is going to be the 49ers. Now, they've got a little bit of issue at quarterback regarding, some of the fan base wants Trey Lance to be the full-time starter. Very little of the fan base wants Jimmy Garoppolo to remain the starter. We know that in the future, it's going to be Trey Lance's team. But right now, with Jimmy Garoppolo as a signal caller, they are 2-0. How do you feel? Pretenders or contenders?
I'm gonna have them on the pretender side this year. I think. I'm not within their division. Let's also take a step back and know that the NFC West they might have 3 teams in the playoffs, and you don't know which 3 of them are because that's how great the division is. So when you look at it from that aspect. I don't like the Jimmy G experiment for this year going starter, and only for that reason because when you have Jimmy G at the quarterback, I just don't. I think just go Trey Lance because you spent so much, you spent too much, and I'm actually against rookie quarterbacks starting, but when you get paid that much, 3 first-rounders, you just gotta let Jimmy G go. And I usually, and like I said, I don't like starting rookie quarterbacks, but I think that sent a message to the locker room that you're just content with just being maybe a wild card. You're making it not in the playoffs this year. They're pretenders to me.
Absolutely. I think, what kind of message are you sending to the fan base when you send, Trey Lance out there for one play here, one play there, and he looks really good. And then, Jimmy G struggles
3.
a couple times. Yeah.
3 first-rounders.
3 first-rounders, exactly. So, and yeah, I'm just not a believer in this team either. I think that this division is going to be one of the toughest divisions in the NFC once the dust settles. So, yeah, I'm also going to agree with you, and I'm going to say that they are pretenders. Now, this is an interesting team that we're going to be talking about right now that is 2-0. They were looking for a quarterback in the offseason. They weren't convinced with Drew Lock. Some of the plays that he makes are mind-blowing, like the emoji, and some of them are great. So you don't really know which Drew Lock you're going to get. They wanted somebody who was a little bit more consistent, somebody who was more steady, somebody who could actually help the younger players on that offense because you got young guys like Noah Fant, Cortland Sutton, so Jerry Jeudy. So you wanted somebody who could really kind of bring those guys along, and Teddy Bridgewater has been that guy for them. Now they are 2-0. Dick Fangio has upgraded that defense. I really like Surtain out of Alabama, the cornerback that they've got in the first round. I really like the fact that they brought over Fuller, who was Dick Fangio's best cornerback when he was the defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. I think that this team is 2-0. It's a total contender. What say you, Sage Alvarez?
They're close. I really have them on the outside because you're not getting over the Chiefs, Chargers, and Raiders. So to me, they're pretenders right now. But let's not discourage the fact that they're still they're going to be a hard team to play against. You see Teddy Bridgewater. He's playing a lot better than people thought he was going to play. The defense is stepping up in ways where they're their acquisitions are showing out. So, but they're in the toughest division in football, AFC
Absolutely.
West, and there is an extra playoff spot, but you would have to really take care of your non-conference schedule because it's gonna when it gets to after the Broncos' easy schedule, it's gonna go into the really difficult part, and that's where you got to if they're gonna stick together. And I'm saying no, pretenders.
Okay, yeah, and we haven't really seen a division send 4 teams into the playoffs. Like, it just hasn't happened. And this, if it were to happen ever, because now you have 7 teams in the playoffs, I guess it could happen with this division. But yeah, you're right. When you look at the teams in this division and the quarterbacks in this division, I would say Teddy Bridgewater is probably the 4th best quarterback in this division. But I still think they're contenders, and I think that just 1 or 2 games here that they win and the Chargers lose, or who knows, the Chiefs. I think that this team is a contender. So I'm sticking by my pick. I made a good case for it. You made a good case for it as well. Let us know also in the comments whether or not you agree with us, who are contenders and who are pretenders. Now let's move on to another team that is out west of the Rams. Now the Rams, I really like what they've done with Matthew Stafford. I think that having a running game, with Cam Ayers went out, you needed somebody to step in, and they went out and got Sony Michel, who's brought some stability to that running game. But the real stability comes from number 9, and Matt Stafford is he's just poetry in motion. Watching him out there, it was for so long he was in Detroit and he was on a bad team, and he's had great players. Yeah, he's had Calvin Johnson. He's had some other decent wide receivers, Nate Burleson, the guy that went to the Giants, Kenny Golladay. But at the end of the day, Matt Stafford just hasn't had a running game, and he hasn't had a good O-line the entire time he was there. And now he's on a team that has provided him with some of those stuff, and he's provided him with a really good play caller in Sean McVay, a guy who believes in him. And I think that when those guys look at him and see his eyes in the huddle, I think that they just believe automatically. And I think that the defense looks really good, especially with Jalen Ramsey playing at a high level like he's been the first 2 games. The linebacking core playing well. Aaron Donald is always going to give you a chance. I believe this team is a contender. What say you, Sage Alvarez?
Oh, they're a real contender. They are a real contender. They're the real deal. Stafford's playing lights out. You see that they bounce back from the Akers. That's devastating loss for the offense. Look like Tony Michel looking like he actually not filling in for complete for Akers with his potential, but he's doing a good job to be like good replacement level for this year. And the defense, studs all around, game wrecking plans. The type of players that you're thinking about when you're sleeping.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And if they could just get that level of production that they had from Todd Gurley, like his first year and a half in the league, at the running back position, then look out, man. But I think this team is a serious contender for the Super Bowl, and I'm excited to see what they can do. And being in that new stadium with fans, it's going to be fun to watch them, just like it is going to be fun to watch your Raiders. Now let's go on to another team that is 2-0, and I don't even think that we have to even ask each other if we think this team is contenders or pretenders, but it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're firing on all cylinders. Of course, when you got number 12 as the quarterback, you always have a chance. But they bring back the entire team that won the Super Bowl last year. They're rushing the passer well. They're blocking well for the O-line. They're running the ball, okay. But when you have all those weapons that Tom Brady has at his disposal, do you really need Leonard Fournette to go off every single week? I don't think so. Antonio Brown is probably your third option at the receiver position. So yeah, I think this team is just loaded, and I think this team is definitely contenders. And look out for them to be in the Super Bowl again this year. Sage, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean when you return the entire starting lineup on offense and defense from a Super Bowl run, you're obviously a real contender. And
the coordinators.
And the coordinators. Yep, that is true. They have an amazing coaching staff, just full of guys that are going to be future NFL head coaches, and some that have been. So the formula is all there. Leonard Fournette doesn't have to go off every week. They just got to show up when it's time to go playoff run. And that's what you get in that problem when you have good teams where you kind of take the last couple weeks off and you go in and you're not ready. Like you got too much of that rust because a team that just got in the wild card was fighting for their lives, they're fighting for their seasons,
Yeah.
and now you're like I've been kind of taking a couple of weeks, like not getting hit, and it's a little different. And rest isn't always good.
Yeah, and that's the debate: rust versus rest. And a lot of teams like to rest them right before they go into playoffs, and they look rusty on that first game, and end up leaving the playoffs early. So yeah, that's the great debate that we see in sports, and we'll see because this team I'm not gonna say they're going 17-0, but they look like they can go at least 15-2, 14-3. I mean, they're gonna win close games, and they're gonna win a lot of games and by blowout. So. I think that they're going to have to figure out whether or not they're going to rest their players in those final games of the season because they're definitely going to be the leaders of that division. Now, in the same division, we have another 2-0 team. Now, this team is the Carolina Panthers. They've got the new quarterback, Sam Darnold, out of New York. God bless Sam Darnold for being able to get out of that purgatory, football purgatory that we know as the New York Jets. He was able to come down there. He only had one damn weapon in New York. Willie Anderson, and he just so happens that he's able to Robbie Anderson. I'm sorry, just so happens that he's able to reunite with Robbie Anderson down in Carolina. But he now has Christian McCaffrey. He's got a better O line. I like the coach that they have there. I just think that they're moving in the right direction. But at this point, I do not think of them as contenders. Now they were able to beat the New Orleans Saints last week and make them look pretty bad. But yeah, like I say, I just do not believe that this is the team that is going to be in the playoffs. We've seen a lot of teams start off 2-0, and then we've seen them flop right back down and go and become 2-6. Chargers fans, y'all know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I think this team is not a contender, and I think that they're trending in the right direction. Over the next couple of years, we'll see them start to get better and better, but I think it's going to take a little bit more time than what it's taking right now. What do you think?
They're like that how do you describe the Panthers? So when you look at the Panthers, you would think that they're not that team. They're not going to be a playoff team. But when you see them play, Sam Darnold isn't playing how Sam Darnold appears in the Jet form. Because in Jets, it was the Adam Gase era with
the crazy eyes.
Hey, and we got a situation that got to change. You give him a running back that's arguably, I think, is the best running back in the game, CMC. Give him receivers who were actually making up for the deficient running game last year without CMC. So as much as I want to say this team is fake, and I even just when I was thinking about it, this team could be real. I like the defense. It's on Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, if he can keep playing at a high, actually he's playing at a decent level. I think he can get better if he learns the offense. He's in year one of a new system. And I always tell people, I'm like, you don't really see a true QB until year 2, 3, when you see, and you got to see progressions. And I like what I see. I see a progression in Sam Darnold. So I'm ready to see if he can make another jump even next year.
I think it's a little too early, but I definitely think you make a great case for that. And we'll see. We'll continue to watch, Sam Darnold and his progression. But he's thrown 3 touchdowns and he's only got 1 interception. So he is trending in the right direction, protecting the football. Should be interesting to see. Now let's just go over a couple of these 0-2 teams. The Jets, of course, are 0-2. How do you feel? Do you think that they're going to bounce back? No way, right? How about the Colts? You don't think the Colts? All right. Now the Colts. Now the Colts. Now I previously called Carson Wentz Humpty Dumpty on the show, and I don't think all the King's Horsemen and all the King's Men are going to be able to put Carson Wentz back together again. But Carson Wentz now has 2 sprained ankles. How do you sprain both ankles? I mean, somebody broke his ankles. But yeah, I mean, this guy. It's unfortunate that he is just injury prone, and we're going to continue to see him be injury prone. I think the rest of his career. And at what point does he follow in the footsteps of a former Colts quarterback that was injury prone and just hang it up and say, you know what, my body has gone through too much in this league and it's time for me to retire early. We saw Andrew Luck do it. Maybe we'll see it from him. Now, what do you think about the Jacksonville Jaguars? Are they going to bounce back this season?
They're not going to bounce back. To me, it was kind of a bad move to go to inexperienced NFL coach, and you're gonna try to develop one of the best QB prospects we've had since Andrew Luck, is what people have said.
Yeah.
So a lot of unnecessary moves. I thought we could have went with a more experienced coach for Jacksonville, but they didn't do that way. They wanted to go this way. They roll the dice, risky move. They think it's going to pay off. And right now, Urban Meyer's getting shredded in the media.
Shredded. It's quick. It'd be interesting to see how quick he is to quit and go to the next top coaching gig that's in college that's out there for him, because that's what we've seen him do in the past. As soon as it's not working out, he is out the door. And we'll see. Now let's talk real quick some NBA news before we because we only have a little bit of time left here on Today's California, Today's Canada, and CoachellaValley.com. Thank you for tuning in. I am Barry Long. This is Sage Alvarez. We are Go Long Live. Now, quickly, let's talk about Ben Simmons. Now, Ben Simmons has been in the news lately because he is reportedly not showing up to 76ers training camp this season. He has said that he would never, ever play another game for the Philadelphia 76ers. We know he signed a major deal. He's got 4 years left on that deal, over $200 million left to claim in that deal. And he's just been a great defender, a good facilitator, but just a terrible shooter, terrible free throw shooter, won't even take a jump shot in the game. The last 4 games that they played in the playoffs, didn't even attempt a shot. Just a terrible just story surrounding this guy. How do you feel about the 76ers? Is he worth saving and continuing to pair with Joel Embiid, or should they just pull the plug on it, see what they can get their best deal, and trade him away?
Oh man, just listening to my people in Philadelphia, the A2D radio, shout out to them. Philadelphia wants this guy gone. I mean, that's what they want him gone so bad. Doc Rivers had to come on First Take with Stephen A. Smith, 11-minute segment where he pretty much is like, we like Ben, we want Ben back. Like this is a fault. Like, you guys are twisting my words. You guys are constantly the media's been. He's like, I don't usually disagree with the media, but I'm coming out here because like you guys are like, I came out the next day, clarified what you guys were manipulating with my words, and you guys kind of like, I can't hear you because we're rolling with this story. We need content, so you guys got problems in Philadelphia. And then now Ben, for his credit, he has 4 years left on that. He has a lot of money to lose, and it doesn't seem like Doc Rivers or any of them are. It doesn't seem like Philadelphia is ready to give up on him. And think about this: if you did in theory, give up on him, why would another team have to give up that much of assets? So I think the Simmons route of City is not gonna work. If anything, it's gonna be used for the owners as leverage when we bring up money. Why is it that a player can just say, I'm gonna sit out? We had James Harden be like, and honestly, he looked like he gained so much weight
on purpose.
And by the time he got in Brooklyn, it looked like he already lost like 20 pounds. Yeah. So I was like, how do you lose it that quick? But if you're in the boxing industry, you kind of learn a little bit more about those tricks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and just to correct something I said earlier, it's a 5-year, $177 million deal. So he's got over $140 million roughly left on this deal, but that'll buy you a whole lot of Philly cheesesteaks. So I mean, if you thinking, if he gets traded, are they going to pick up that contract? It'll be interesting to see how they make it all work with the salary caps. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's time for him to go, and I think they want him gone. I think he wants to be gone. It's not good when two parties in a relationship don't want to be together. It's best that they just separate. So I think that there are places for him to go where there is a lot of shooting around him. If you go in my personal opinion, I think that he should be traded to the Golden State Warriors for Draymond Green, who's regressing in his shooting. But you pair him with Steph Curry. You're not doing that. You pair him with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
I'm not doing that. I'm not. But I'm saying for the 76ers side, like I don't want Draymond Green. You know what I want? I want young assets and a star, a different star. Not Draymond's on the. He's
Draymond and what about Draymond and Andrew Wiggins?
No. Don't. I'm not. I'm speaking from the 76ers side. Like, I need something that's worth it. Because first of all, Simmons is a talent, and Doc
Yeah.
Rivers was like, "Listen, you guys are worried about his offense. I'm mainly worried about his free throws. Because if he gets his free throws right, then you can't foul him, and that's what really is the difference maker in Ben. I mean, obviously you get the jump shot, but if you can't foul him, then you allow him to play his game, and he's really the defensive guy. He really is a great defensive player.
He'll shut you down.
We don't. It's crazy because we're so negative towards offense. We're like, we don't recognize his defense because that's what NBA fans talk about. That's what media talks about is offense. And I coach basketball. I'm an offensive guy too. And I want to score 100 points plus every game, even when I was coaching high school. It's always 100, and we want more. And defense wasn't always like concentrated, but the more I grew, I'm like, no, defense is that important. And if you can really lock teams up, and then you get the same energy towards putting up 100 points, that's when it started coming together. Just for the teams I coached.
Yeah, offense wins games, defense wins championships. That's what they say. Now, real quick, the meme of the day. We thank everybody for tuning in. The meme of the day: LeBron James, LeBron rocking that number 6, and obviously this is Photoshop from this photo. This is the original photo right here. All he did was just remove his beard and keep him bald. I mean, he's not gonna look bad for an old guy, right? I mean, like, he's still gonna look like LeBron. You know what they say, black don't crack.
Why does LeBron look like the villain in Space Jam 2, the one that should have been?
Algae Rhythm. All right, now, and real quick, we got a game tonight, Panthers versus Texans. Who you got and why?
I'm rolling with the Panthers tonight. David Mills from Stanford, 3rd round pick, 67 overall, not going to get the job done. You got to get to my boy CMC. He's going to run all day on Texans.
Yeah. David Mills only has, 15 games career starts in the college level. So, I'm worried about him as well. It sucks for Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor always gets a starting job and always gets replaced because he gets injured. It happened in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield. It happened last year with Justin Herbert in the Chargers, and now it's going to happen with David Mills. I don't know, man. Like, we'll see. But Tyrod Taylor always gets the short end of the stick. He's from the 757, where I'm from, so I love Tyrod Taylor. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I got the Panthers as well. I don't think the Texans are going to be. I don't think they're going to have a winning record at all. I think they might end up with that first overall draft pick. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. For Sage Alvarez, I am Barry Long. And just remember this week, man, stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired. And remember, you're capable of doing anything. We're on 5 days a week now. 5 days a week. All right, so we'll see y'all tomorrow. And,
and shout out, if find me on Twitter at SageDub, and on Facebook, you got me as a friend, Sage Alvarez. I'm more than likely I'm going to add you.
And at Twitter, I'm at Radio Barry Long, and on Facebook, Barry Long II. It's been another episode. We appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow.